business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time. All right, we are here, week 16 of It's Business Time at Stitch House. We are joined this week by Mr. Jason Aviles from Wilmington Green Box and Green Box Kitchen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
Very, very good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to hop into it in a minute. Before we get rolling, I do always want to give a quick thank you and shout out to Stitch House right here on Market Street for having us, for hosting this. Always got 12 beers on tap, all original local products. So make sure to come through Stitch House when you get a chance and enjoy some of the cuisine. And with that, we are rolling. Jason, again,
let's do it.
Thanks for being here. So you know, I did a little bit of research. Mm-hmm. I don't like to do too much and know too many things before I head in, but you have quite the pedigree. I'm so excited to get into this with you. So you have Green Box Kitchen, which is down here on Market Street.
Yep, fast casual vegan restaurant right in the corner of 4th and Market.
Awesome. You can check out Green Box Kitchen right here. I'll put it all in a post, don't worry.
Let's do it.
And then you also have Wilmington Green Box.
Yes, so Wilmington Green Box is the nonprofit arm. So Green Box Kitchen started from the work that we've been doing with the nonprofit, which is employing teens from the community while going into neighborhoods categorized as food deserts and providing them with access to healthy goods.
Gotcha. Yeah, that definitely a great mission, beautiful mission. I love, too, that you're kind of in both those worlds because a lot of entrepreneurs, they ask themselves early on, should I be a nonprofit?
Yeah.
You know, should I cap my salary and do good for the community? Or should I, you know, do the American capitalist, run for the top, you know, make as much as I can, right? And that's always a very difficult decision. And the reason I kind of bring that up before we get rolling is for those who aren't familiar with this podcast, this series, it is largely for the entrepreneurs watching, like the people out there who want to do things. You know, you work with the youth and teens and empower them to make change. So, you know, you understand this well, which is like a little bit of knowledge goes a long way.
Absolutely.
And so as we're kind of thinking about, as you're talking and you're thinking about the audience, I want this series to be every small business owner, every person with an idea will hit a hurdle at some point. And the more they can learn about that before they get there, the better. And so that's a lot of what I want this series to be, is someone who's thinking about starting a business or in the early stages. What are some of the challenges and the barriers they're going to face? And maybe they can learn something from you, from the group of folks. But in that vein, I do like the full picture, right? So can we go all the way back? Yeah. What got you started in this path, and kind of where were you, and what happened to start to move into this field? I know you got all the yoga stuff and everything. Yeah. You know, what were the early days of Jason Aviles?
Yeah, so my first real professional job was working in a special education high school in the South Bronx as a paraprofessional. That's a fancy word for an assistant teacher.
Right.
And that was where I really found my passion, you know, working with young people. For most part, I just saw me in them, and I felt like I had to hold myself accountable to higher standards to be somewhat of a positive role model.
Right.
So they kind of pushed me to be better. That led me to continuing to working with kids, from working in other schools, working in community centers, to even counseling kids in a maximum security youth prison.
Wow.
Upstate New York, where I worked with 14-year-olds doing 25 years of life.
Oh, my goodness.
Something at the time that I didn't even know existed.
Right.
So I did professionally work with kids for roughly around 8-9 years. And I was working right over here over East Side at Bancroft Elementary School in 2011. And it was at that point that I felt like I could do more when it came to educating kids. I had started to see like the behavior issues and the different problems with kids in these different school systems, but I felt like I wanted to take a better approach to being able to really address some of these root underlying causes of the issues. So that led me to go into a consciousness-based education university in Iowa,
Right.
called
Okay.
Maharishi University of
Yeah.
Management, and
Wow.
that's where everything changed for me.
Wow. Wow. And so by everything changed for me, you were looking for a path to help these kids, to work with people. What happened at this university that kind of pivoted?
Yeah, so the original intention was to find a solution for them,
Mm-hmm.
but what I found was myself in that process. So what I had realized after going to that university is that some of these issues that they were facing,
Mm-hmm.
I had faced.
Right.
And I hadn't really been able to address them because I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the self-awareness, I didn't have the techniques. So these ways, these characteristics, these behaviors just became a part of my personality, and I just
Yeah.
accept that as the norm. But when I went to this school, one of the big things that they introduced was meditation. So meditation was integrated into the academic learning experience. And then I met a gentleman from India who basically put me under his belt,
Yeah.
like some Karate Kid
Wow.
type of stuff. Taught me yoga. I lost 100 pounds in less than 6 months.
Wow.
So physically there was some transformation happening, but also like mentally and emotionally and spiritually there were some things that were changing for me.
Yeah.
And as I grew in self-awareness, I began to really to understand the depths
Yeah.
of what I could be and what I can do.
Like the mindset, kind of like what
Absolutely,
goes
yes.
with the I mean, that's something, and this is not about me, but that is something that when I was about 35, so I'm 41 now, I went through a mindset shift myself. And
I was right around that age.
yeah, and I realized no, I'm not competing with anybody. Nobody's coming after me. Nobody's messing with me. I didn't even understand how much like fighting I was doing with myself and with the world around me until that shift. Now mine was a lot of alone time. I took a job where I wound up being largely alone for a long period of time, but I realized I felt that mindset shift in that time. And meditation,
Yes.
this was almost like a forced meditation.
Yeah.
And then it started to become more and more intentional. But so how would you describe, like, let's say I'm one of the youths that you work with, and I'm struggling with a lot of stuff. How would you describe how important mindset can be?
Well, mindset is really your relationship with yourself, right? And how you view, perceive, and therefore define yourself, right? Because no matter where you go in life, you take you with you, right?
Right,
So
right.
regardless of what's happening around you, what you're mostly responsible for is how you react and respond to the
Yeah.
things that are happening around you, right? So my philosophy is empowering and equipping people with tools that allow them to be that much more present, which then allows them to make choices that are to the benefit of their path and the goals that they see for themselves.
Gotcha.
So the mindset is really just owning and taking responsibility for your entire self. So
Yeah.
we're talking about mental health, we're talking about emotional health, we're talking about physical health. I think a lot of people get off on the blame game, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a lousy way out of trying to attempt to escape accountability. So when I work with people, we give them the tools to deal with their stuff, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, this is an opportunity that didn't really exist for people because their mindset prior to that was, it's not me.
Right.
I'm not the problem. It's the world. It's the job. It's
Yep.
my boss. It's my partner. It's my family, right? And they get stuck in this rut of just running in circles, right?
Right.
So I think the mindset, the beginning of the mindset shift is really ownership.
Yeah.
It's really saying, hey, like, I'm the center of my universe. What can I do to put matters into my hand so I can live a better quality of life? And I think that is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. That it's funny you phrase it like that, because my dad was actually a youth minister as
Wow.
well, and so as a kid I got to grow up watching him counsel other people, and it's embarrassing that it took me as long as it did to really understand what you were just saying, but to not blame others for where you think you should be, right?
Yeah.
But understand you're exactly where you should be.
Yes.
Right?
At all times.
At all times. So the trajectory, it feels obvious to me, but for those watching, so you are in mindfulness.
Yeah.
Where did it come to go from mindfulness into health and the food area? Because food is obviously very important.
Yes.
You are what you eat is like it's a misnomer, it's a joke, but it is also, I mean, I know me now that I'm older. I know me when I don't eat well. Very different.
Oh my
me
God!
than when
I
I'm
think we
eating
all
well.
do.
Yeah.
I think we all do. Some of us like to be in denial of it,
Right,
but we know we can
We know.
feel the difference
Totally.
instantaneously, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me it was going through the transformation first, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't even focused on creating a business. I wasn't trying to make this into something that I can make money from. I was just going through the journey, right? And as I began to go through the transformation and really discover these different layers of myself, the first thing that happened was realizing, like, wow, how many more people could benefit from this?
Yeah. Wow.
Now, the way in which I was taught in terms of yoga was I was told that yoga was a holistic practice.
Right.
So diet and nutrition is just as important as physical exercise, right?
Right.
Physical exercise is just as important as mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health is just as important as emotional health, right?
Right.
So in learning all these different aspects of the self and how to develop these tools to take ownership of these different aspects of the self, when I graduated and I came back, I realized that a lot of people had been missing what I had learned.
Right.
And then that became the problem for me to solve. It was like, how can I package what I learned and what I was able to benefit from in these businesses to make an impact in people in my community?
Yeah, it's so interesting you phrase it that way, because a lot of small business folks, the beginning of their business. In fact, I just interviewed Liv McKintock from Handcrafted down on 200 block.
Yes.
And the beginning of their business is I saw a problem, I created a solution. All my friends wanted that same solution. In her case, it was a leather bag that held all her stuff.
I'm very familiar with her product.
Okay, good.
And it's exceptional.
It
her
really
product is truly exceptional. Like it's
yeah.
extraordinary. Like meticulously to the detail, crafted with like love and professionalism, good quality.
1,000%. Yeah. And the reason I say that is to segue back to you here is like she saw a problem. Next thing you know, her friends were like, help me solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, she's solving a problem, and the business kind of formed around the requests for this. It's like you were having the same thing, except mentally, right? Not a bag, but the holistic approach to. And I love the quote on your site. It says, like, I might get it wrong, but Jason views his businesses as part of the manifestation.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's along those lines. Yeah,
Okay.
even I forgot exactly what it says.
Yeah,
but
fair.
yeah. They're like vehicles. You know, they're vehicles that I've consciously kind of created to kind of hold and carry these different lessons that turn into products and services that other people can benefit from, because I know for a fact that it works.
Right. So tell me the early days, right? Are you making food for the community, and they all say, "Hey, I wish you had a brick and mortar"? Like, tell me the early, like, how did you transition from this idea into a physical location where,
So it's very similar to what you just said. Like we started through the nonprofit Wilmington Green Box, and we had two goals. It was to give teens entrepreneurship job experience where they run the daily operations. And the second part was to go into these communities that we know suffered from lack of access to healthy food and bring the healthy food to them. So we started with like cold pressed watermelon juice and like fresh produce, and we tried to create products that were plant-based, right? That were made from whole foods, but at the same time they were relatable and they were easy on the taste buds. Like we knew we couldn't go into these communities and drop a pound of kale and a couple of avocados,
flaxseed oil,
and watch people line up.
Right,
you know what I mean? But we introduced these products, And it took us 3 years of educating people on the ground that eating healthy was better for them than not. And it was only then, from people trying and experiencing and really maturing and evolving their taste buds, that they were like, hold up, like, I actually like this.
Yeah.
I feel really good. How can I get more access to this? So we did not want to create a restaurant. Knowing what I know now about running a restaurant, there's no way in hell I would have did that while having a newborn and then knowing it's 6 months prior to like a world pandemic.
Oh my
taking place. But it was the people from the community that said, like, we want it. Bring it to us. We'll come out. We'll support. And that was the inspiration to figure out how to solve that problem.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. And it makes sense, too. As soon as you said cold-pressed watermelon juice, I immediately was like, oh, man, I need a class of that.
Oh, my God. So good, man.
Yeah. We're gonna get to what y'all are doing right now here in a minute. We're walking our way up there. So you actually started with the 501c3.
Yes.
So you were having community support.
Yes.
For this this idea, bringing healthy food to the communities, and then what caused you to take that next step? And also, too, if you could touch a little bit on, like, what was the moment that you realized, like, I want this location to have an anchor to, because that's actually a really, really big moment in almost every business, right? Is they're selling online, or they have an idea online, or they're working out of their garage, whatever it might be. Their overhead is very low. Yeah. And then they go for a brick-and-mortar location. So they have a storefront. Overhead skyrockets. Now the pressure is truly on. Once you have that location.
Now you're in business.
Now you're in business.
Yeah. Now you're going to feel the responsibility of paying bills, paying overhead, hiring staff. I mean, there's so much that comes with a brick-and-mortar. Yeah. I think for us, it was two things. It was, we want to be centrally located where the people from this community and the surrounding neighborhoods could have direct access to us. That was super important, right? And we knew we had to serve not only the people from the neighborhoods, but we knew we wanted to serve downtown equally, right? Because there are things that you have to be attentive to when it comes to business and demographics. And we knew that the market that we were creating through the nonprofit was still growing, but it hadn't quite yet matured yet, right? Because we're still introducing, like, a radical diet. I mean, our restaurant is 100% plant-based and vegan. I mean, at that time, there was no one around selling smoothies and cold-pressed juices. So it was quite the idea that people really couldn't wrap their head around. Yeah. So us being there and allowing the people surrounding us to have access to us was important. Yeah. The second driving force was consistency. Yeah. Like, when you have a brick and mortar, you have to show up, right? Whether it's you in there making the smoothies and acai bowls, or your staff, it requires you to at all times be available for your business, right? Yeah, wow. So the responsibility significantly increases, and that kind of ties into what you're saying. Like, that's when you start to feel the pressure, because there's all these nuances now that once didn't exist that now does, that you as the owner are completely responsible for. But we took on that responsibility because we knew that consistency not only mattered for us as entrepreneurs, but we knew that it mattered to really be able to, like, make that imprint in our community. Yeah.
No, that makes sense, particularly when it comes to food, nutrition, as it were. Like, that's not something that you can be, well, you can, but you should be inconsistent with for too long, obviously. Yeah. So that's really, really cool. So can you give me a little bit of a timeline? So the nonprofit, roughly what year did the nonprofit
so nonprofit start? We launched in, like, 2015.
Okay.
So we did that, like, 2015, 2016. So we did that for, like, 3 to 4 years. Yeah. And we opened up the restaurant in October of 2019.
Okay, gotcha.
And then COVID hits February 2020.
Yeah. During the nonprofit period, what was it? Were these grants, donations? Like, what was it that was keeping your lights on during that period?
Yeah, so at that time, the nonprofit really wasn't making money. Right. But we knew we had to do the work, right?
Right.
And I think this is a part of the entrepreneur journey that a lot of people miss. Yeah. you have to have a proof of concept.
Yep.
Before people can believe in what you have to offer,
Yeah.
most people have to see it,
Yeah.
right? So if they don't see it, but you in your head have the vision,
Yeah.
there's a disconnect, right? So now you have to create this bridge from vision to manifestation.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we knew that if we didn't do that ground level work, people wouldn't believe that what we were trying to do was possible, was feasible, or
Yep.
even sustainable, or could be successful in this particular community.
Yeah,
So
wow.
we spent that time knowing that we wasn't going to get paid.
Right.
And time aside from that, I was just hustling, man.
Yeah.
Doing every little thing I could do, like being contracted out. I started doing yoga sessions. I was doing
Right.
donation-based stuff. I was taking on small creative projects here and there. I mean, anything I could do to make money to sustain my lifestyle while being able to endure that process and journey of building this nonprofit was my whole approach to making it work.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I can definitely see it come together. I love that you said the proof of concept, because that's a big one too for those listening. Is proof of concept, to kind of break it down, is it's like, just because you believe it's going to work, right, doesn't mean it's easy to explain to other people how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then you also have the business plan, right? And I have this joke that I say, like, until it is possible for your investors, your friends, your family to actually inspect the contents of your head, you're going to have to write it down and
Yes.
show them.
Yes. Yes.
And so those early nonprofit days, this was the proof of concept.
Yes.
This showed you the model
Yes.
of how this can work.
And it allowed us to gauge the interests of our community and know if, like, this was what people even wanted,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So here's another tidbit when it comes to business. Just because you like it,
Right.
just because you want it, doesn't mean that where you're going to sell it
Right.
is going to work,
Yeah.
right? Like if I lived in a carnivore community,
Right.
who care less
You're in
for
southern
like
Texas. Yeah.
like I mean, it may not work, right? So
Right.
like we had to actually know and put our finger on the pulse to understand that, okay, could this work? Is
Yeah.
it possible? Is it feasible? And more importantly, is it sustainable, right?
Yeah.
At that age, as you begin to get older, like your time is your most valuable commodity, right? So
Definitely.
as much as you want to chase this dream and you have this vision and you're passionate about
Yep.
it, you have to be realistic about it as well too, right? So if you aren't going to treat it with that level of sincerity and really put in the work, then I tell most people that, hey, like, there's not a problem with working a job or
Right.
even working at a local small business or a project or a creative endeavor that someone you know runs or owns, because that work in the beginning is absolutely necessary. Like, you
Yeah.
can't skip that step of developing the proof of concept.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, I come from the arts and music community, and the amount of people who they like what they do. I shouldn't say nobody, but not enough people like what they do
Yeah.
for them to do it full time.
Yeah.
And I say, like, compromising your vision, working in a few spaces that you don't want to, is not selling out.
No.
Like, that is one of the most damaging things for many communities, many cultures, is the idea that if you don't do something completely the way you want, you've sold out.
yeah.
But
And sometimes you have to be able to afford
yeah,
to do what you want on your terms, right?
Yeah.
But I think people see, or the illusion, the perception is that everyone is doing what they love and what they're passionate about,
Right.
really not knowing the ins and outs and the background to that.
Yep.
So they're being influenced by that, and they're thinking that that's the most sustainable pathway to success.
Yeah.
And what I would say is that it's extremely important for you to understand your market, your numbers, the demographics, the people you want to serve.
Yep.
And we had to do that with the vegan restaurant, right? Like, there were some things from a purist perspective that I wanted to do that I knew, like, the market wasn't quite ready for,
Yeah.
that I had to, like, have that delayed gratification.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I had to give them what they wanted.
Right.
And then once you have the customer and you build a strong customer base, it's easy to upsell and introduce new products, right? Because now you have a pool of people that's already coming in, patronize the business that you can
Right.
you can offer those new things to.
You educate your consumers.
Have
right?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, your journey is a real example of that. The vegan and the I don't want to conflate these two, but the vegan over here and then the meat alternatives over here. I mean, they're combined, but I don't like to, because those are two different things. But it's come such a long way. Like I remember. Because I eat meat, but it's a very small amount, right? Maybe once or twice a week, and even then it's a small amount. And I remember when I was looking for alternatives.
What?
2005 or whatever.
Oh
it was
God.
these disgusting
Avocado.
hockey puck bean burgers.
What? You're lucky if you got that. Sometimes you had the quinoa black bean that fell apart in the bread as soon as you. I mean, the products that are available now and the engineering and technology and where everything is going, I mean, you can pretty much go just about anywhere and find something that tastes good and at the same time has that nutritional value and is plant-based.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I mean, I can tell I could talk to you for a while about just the business of business. Yeah. But in the interest of time, I do want to keep these somewhat digestible. Yeah. So we're all pretty much caught up. You get your brick-and-mortar location. Yes. What's the address of your location? 400
North Market Street, Wilmington, Delaware.
All right, definitely check him out. What is let's give a little example of like what is something that someone who just wants to go to your spot and just fully immerse themselves, like you know, top seller, your favorite thing. Yes. Is there something? Because I'm gonna go. Yeah, right? I'm definitely getting the watermelon juice. Yeah. But what's something that you would recommend, like a first time person who to give an idea of what you guys do?
We have an amazing vegan, gluten-free Belgian waffle that's topped with blueberries and strawberries and vegan butter and grade A organic maple syrup and the batter we make in-house. It's crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. It's warm, it's sweet, it's freaking amazing. It's really good. Yeah. Our smoothies, we've won best smoothies in the state 2 years in a row. We've also won best vegan and vegetarian restaurant in the state. We've also been named best acai bowl in the state, best grain bowl in the state, top reviewed vegan and vegetarian restaurant by Yelp and Google. Dang. 2 years in a row. We're at 5 stars all across the board. Happy Cow, Yelp, Google, Facebook.
So I feel like you're good at this.
I would like to say that
awesome,
I'm all right.
Yeah,
I'm all right. But like if you're coming right through the door, our smoothies are amazing. No ice, no water, no added sugar, no added artificial syrups. You're getting straight fresh fruit, fresh pressed juice, really good quality nutritionally, ingredients. Yeah. We have a chickpea tuna sandwich that people go crazy for. And in fact, some of the people that were here we're talking about it, and we slow roast chickpeas and season it and mash it, and we add vegan mayo, sweet pickles, and we make our own bread, our own multi-grain bread in-house. We bake it fresh, and that's the top seller. So yeah, chickpea tuna sandwich, Belgian waffle, and pretty much any smoothie that seems to be appetizing for your taste buds. You can't go wrong.
I love that. Man, that was a great commercial. Wilmington Green Box, you can check them out right here on Market Street. That was incredible. Like I'm hungry for this stuff, and as soon as you said roasted seasoned chickpeas, I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
But so in addition to Wilmington Green Box and Green Box Kitchen, you yourself, you have a lot of projects. I went to jasonaviles.com.
Yes.
You can see all that. Make sure to check out the man himself too, Jason Aviles, his website. So you have your international yoga studio.
Yes.
You just got a ton of stuff. I wish I could talk to you forever.
Yeah.
Hopefully those listen. They're gonna check out all your projects here. Yeah. And let me kind of wrap up by so we're all caught up to where y'all at now. What's the vision for the future? Where are you guys headed? You've already got the awards. You got I just a little bit of what you guys are planning on doing, and maybe how the community can step in and support. Yeah. Other than, of course, having some smoothies.
Yes. Yeah. So that's definitely a good way to support, right? Yeah. Just coming through the doors and patronizing, especially for small businesses, is it goes a long way, right? Yeah. Right now the goal is scaling.
Yeah.
And this brings about a lot of problems that early on in your entrepreneurship journey you don't even see nor understand, right? Because at first you're just trying to sell the thing and make money, like that, right? You're lucky if it actually sells and you actually make money, right? And then you have a really good problem on your hands, like, how do I scale this? How do I replicate this? How do I duplicate this, right? How do I bring what I've created in Wilmington to Chicago, to New York, to LA, to Baltimore, right? So now your problem is less about the product because you developed the product, right? It's you have the proof of concept. People love it. They're buying into it. Now your problems are infrastructure related, right? Do I have the systems, processes, and procedures in place to be able to set up the restaurant in a way where it can run when I'm not there? Because now as an entrepreneur, where I need to be is not in the restaurant because now I have to work on the restaurant. So what we're thinking about, so what we're thinking about doing now is making it franchisable. We've had investors come to the table and want to entertain that vision, but we weren't ready. So we want to take a little bit more time on the ground, just getting everything where it needs to be, like crossing all our T's, dotting all our I's, and we're pretty much 90% there. So going into this new year, the goal is going to be to package the restaurant in a way where we can franchise it, and you can see it in other cities and other states like Wilmington, Delaware, and to be able to grow the brand that way. We're also releasing our own products. So we released our own bottle cold pressed juice line, 100% USDA certified organic that we're shipping all across the country. So we ship out like 3-day, 6-day, 1-day juice cleanses to people in Cali, people in Chicago, people in New York. So we're going vertical and introducing products so we can kind of double down and expand our footprint that way and be online just as much as we have the brick and mortar. So 2024 is all about growth. It's all about understanding how to scale the right way, right? And really pay attention to the things that are important so we not only do it, but we can continue to do it for as long as possible.
Yeah, wow. That was a great answer. I love the working on the business rather than in the business line.
Those are two completely different things.
Very different things.
It takes time to learn that one. Took me time at least.
I don't have enough time today to talk about that concept. But, man, I've definitely met a lot of people who manifest well. And I've definitely met a lot of people with intent, with clear intent. But to kind of see those combine in you is really, really cool. Definitely someone to keep your eye on. And man, I really appreciate Jason coming through this series. Jason Aviles coming through It's Business Time, week 16. You can catch him, Wilmington Green Box, right here on Market Street. Check them out. Again, thank you for Stitch House for having us. Thanks again, man, for coming through It's Business Time. Man. Thank you. Awesome. I wish you all the luck.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
all right.
For sure. Have a good holiday.
It's been